Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Hawt Takes, Heat Wave Takes. I'm your Lodge Master. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
90 degrees, super hot.
Brother Lucas on virtual chat.
I am keeping cool.
And once again, looking beautiful in his Slimer t-shirt, Brother Nathan.
Burn like hell. I'm here. You summoned me. I came.
Oh my God, guys. This is a sweltering hot take. Like, what the hell's going on with this weather right now?
Yeah, it's gone from like 70 degrees to 90 where I am.
Oh my God.
Compounds all the problems that we're having into a big hot rash.
So we got to just lead into it.
And we turned off the AC just for the hot take.
Oh, yeah. We are sacrificing our fans, our AC, just for you listeners right now because we want the best quality audio that we can get under these circumstances. We got to try our best. So what movie did we see? We saw a movie called We Summon the Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
It is a video on demand horror film with, I thought, a premise that can't lose. It's set in the 80s. It's about these vaguely teenage women headed to a rock concert.
Heavy metal goth shows.
Shit goes sideways from there. I mean, how can you say no to that? Well, first off, there are some twists. So if you do plan on seeing this film, we're about to give away all it has to offer. So
there's one twist.
Stop it now.
There's a
check
couple
it
twists.
out, and then come back. Yeah, I would say there's like a twist and a half, maybe. So long production company role at the beginning, and quite hilarious.
Yeah,
and
that's when you know in deep water.
And I would like to officially declare that the 2020 era of Roger Corman, like School of Filmmaking, is now Saban Films.
Saban Films.
I think
Saban is now a certain label of a certain kind of quality brand that you can expect to see, which is to say, like the B picture, pulpy, like canon films of the 80s.
It's the new canon. Yes.
They did speed kills. They did a lot. They've done a lot.
Yeah, they cruised the festivals, and anything that didn't get bought or nobody wanted, they just bought it. That's what I think.
They're a grease trap.
Yeah.
And another one of the production companies is the Litecoin Foundation, which I can only assume is some
Bitcoin
cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Bitcoin Productions.
And I love it.
And for all those things, I don't think the budget was over like maybe $1 million or maybe, I don't know. It didn't.
No, and that brings us to the next part, which is how do you do 80s on a budget this small? The answer is you don't.
You don't. Location. I mean, it's pretty much a one location movie.
I mean, what's funny is like in the opening, they give you the title that it's 1988, like Indiana.
Yeah.
But then within like 30 seconds, I'm like, why are they all dressed like they're in the 80s? And then I'm like, oh, because it is the 80s. And I kept having to remind myself of that.
Yeah. There's a ring pop. That was about as far as they went.
I think when they go through the Quickie Mart in the opener, you see retro packaging.
Some old labels
on the Twinkies.
They did get, and it's a big score, they got Jolt Cola to do product placement, and that was probably some
definitely sold it. Was the hostess for me.
What kept knocking me is that the jeans, the cut of the jeans were obviously modern.
Yeah.
They were trying to speak to cut. Kind of a ragged, heavy metal jeans of the 80s, but they were far too fitted of the now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You can't.
I think the girls looked really modern too. Like it took me a while to think like, oh, I'm in the 80s. I'm in the 80s. Just based on their conversation, it reveals that they are in the 80s.
Yeah.
But
so they go to this giant heavy metal concert and meet some boys. Some kind of the Lodge Mistress was watching it with me, and she's like, "Why are they hanging out with these dorks?" And
why would they ever hang out with these guys? But have you guys noticed who these guys are? Like, did you recognize her?
One of them looked vaguely familiar, and I was like, "Why do I know this guy?"
So the Gordon Levitt Keanu guy is from Alita, Battle Angel.
Battle Angel.
That's going to bing in your head. The big heavy set guy is Taylor Swift's brother. How about that?
What?
Whoa!
Wow.
Austin Swift. And I thought he wasn't the worst actor.
Well, no, what's interesting is I thought that he was the most charismatic, and when they bumped him off, I was kind of bummed because I was like, he actually had the most personality out of the three.
His death is pretty rough.
So I thought the way that they handled the concert, because, you know, on a budget, it's hard to do a big rock concert. They made it extra chaotic. They just showed our principal, you know, leads just kind of rocking out in the foreground. And then they showed like little parts of a stage here and there. Like it was very impressionistic.
It was like
I thought it got the job done.
Yeah, it was like a 1 minute heavy metal concert, and that was the end of heavy metal kind of.
Yep. And then they came out and they're like, "Whoa, that was amazing! That's amazing." So they go back to this big house, which one of the girls says is her dad's house, and they proceed to. One of my other issues with this is that the writer clearly doesn't give a shit about heavy metal music at all, because they have like the most basic, bare bones discussion about Metallica.
Well, they do. You think their new album, and they say, you know, where you are when they say, like, they talk about the band members and they say the new guy, Jason Newsted.
Yeah. And then that's the extent of the quote unquote deep dive into these, you know, professional heavy metal fans. So I'm kind of like, you're selling us a bill of goods here. You're talking about hard rock, heavy metal. You give us a 1 minute heavy metal concert. You have this cursory discussion about Metallica. And then the rest of the music that you pay for in the movie is the antithesis of heavy metal. Like, you're writing a check that the movie isn't cashing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into as well.
The filmmakers might be more interested in the satanic panic angle, which is something that, you know, these murders get foretold as the girls are together in the car before the concert. All these murders are going on.
Yes, there's murders going on, and you couldn't possibly suspect that the girls have anything to do with it. No. But the lodge mistress knew right away.
Wow.
She knew at the convenience store. Okay. Because the old man checking them out at the cash register says, "You girls have to be careful. A bunch of nice girls like you."
Yeah.
She was like, there's no reason for him to say anything about them being nice unless they wanted us to be thrown off the path.
Yeah.
So that was my experience.
That's the first time we see Johnny Knoxville too on the TV. Johnny Knoxville is a priest.
Yes.
And we automatically know he's a bigger role
preacher,
than, you know, just a background role.
And we get a 15-minute never have I ever bonfire scene.
Which I thought was a great scene. You know, for what it's worth, I thought that scene was good.
It has to play out like that. You know, they're trapping them, you know.
But the only problem with that is, obviously, the Never Have I Ever game gets darker and darker as it goes. But just before that scene, they remove all tension from it by basically letting us know that these girls are the evil ones. Why would you put that scene before the scene where you tantalizingly reveal that they've just drugged the dude's drinks and that they have nefarious goals?
One of them has cold feet, and they have a whole like, are you able to do this? Are you able to kill these guys right before?
So
the reveal?
Why would you do that?
Yeah,
it is like a long scene that if you still thought that the girls were fine, it would hit you like I don't know, not a ton of bricks, but maybe like
a brick.
Yeah, it wasn't handled well for sure.
And then I feel like it just goes off the rails from there. Like,
well, these girls. I mean,
let's talk about
Alexandra Daddario.
Am I supposed to know this girl or what? Like,
where's she from? True Detective.
She was from Baywatch. She was
True Detective.
The Baywatch movie. She's kind of like the new Denise Richards or something like that. She's
got some big old blue eyes.
Yeah, she's got big blue eyes. She's beautiful.
I kind of liked her as this church girl gone bad, though. I mean, in a way, like I thought she was like, "We're having a slumber party, Mom." You know,
I don't know. I don't think she's capable of playing a murderer in any way. I don't know.
But she was having fun, and she produced it.
Yeah.
She was one of the producers.
Yeah.
So she really wanted to get her groove on.
She wanted to be a bad girl.
Lucas, how many times did you invoke a student feature?
Oh man, you took
probably the first shot. I'm guessing.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Ooh, student feature certified.
I felt like this is ineptly told or set up because for almost like 30 minutes, like nothing happens, right? Like, yeah, they're driving. There's like this vague headline of like another family murdered. Or no, teenagers slain was the headline in the liquor store, right. and then there's like a radio program.
When that radio program went on, I said out loud, "I'm like, Lucas is calling a student feature right now."
And so yeah, my problem was like the movie starts so abruptly with them just in the car on the way to the concert. I was like confused. I was like, wait a second, what the fuck is this about? I mean, I know I knew it was a horror movie. I didn't see the trailer. I had zero awareness going in. So when they got like the milkshake thrown on them and like they pulled over, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is where like they discover something or someone pulls over to help them. No, they're just pulling over to like clean the milkshake off. Like, okay. And then they get to the parking lot and then at the club. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to turn into like the green room. And then when, it's like badly revealed that they're in cahoots, like, it takes all the tension and like completely
it's just gone.
It's like, you're doing it wrong. And then I'm thinking, okay, so it is like the green room, except it's just at this like house. And then it goes
greenhouse.
It goes from there. But at a certain point, I was like, man, I kind of wish this was a sequel, like an official sequel to Heather's, and like Daniel Waters like rewrote this concept because they should all be named Heather, and like it just needed like a Christian Slater 2020 surrogate.
That's our Alita Battle Angel boy.
That's our boy.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
I was doing Gordon Levitt meets River's Edge era Keanu.
Yeah, sure. I was captivated by that guy, as I was.
He had a heart to him, I thought, and even old Austin Swift, I thought he had something to him. Like at first, I don't like Koufax at all. We're not going to be talking about Koufax. That's the thing is they get stuck. This one location thing. They get stuck in there like a rats in cages, man. It's just like anyone could leave at any point. There's no, I mean, I know that boys get wounded and, one of them gets murdered, but it seems like they could always overpower these girls.
Yes.
Like kick this door open. They're on their backs. They're on their stomachs at one point shooting. I guess they're shooting spray paint under the door to gas these guys in a little pantry closet.
They're in a pantry for the entire center of the movie.
They get out and then they get back in too.
The dude is gurgling blood for like an hour. Like he's just on the floor, like gurgling, like it's getting cold and there's no action. He's just sitting there. And it's like you got to have action in the house. You got this big house. Use it.
You got a big house, and
it's
we use like 3 rooms.
Yeah,
we use 3 rooms.
Yeah.
What are you doing, guys?
Yeah,
they're stuck in a pantry eating Wheat Thins, and the girls are spray painting. They're spray painting underneath the doorway. And once they're out of the room, there's this whole interplay where they're fighting and whatnot. Like these guys can just run right out the goddamn door.
Yes, but the time management is weird.
Yeah,
because the stepmom comes home and there's some intrigue there, and they end up killing the stepmom. There's like 30 minutes of stuff where then we cut back to the pantry, and it's like a second has passed. They haven't used their time wisely at all.
Yeah,
and then
Keanu hasn't thought of anything to break the door down. Or I looked behind him; there were possible weapons behind him. Like there was canned cans. Even just throw a can at somebody. Oh, you'd kill him. Like,
in that 30 minutes that they were in there, all they did was break 2 bottles and get ready to fight with the broken bottles, which doesn't work.
They introduce a cop though too, who introduces a gun in it.
It's supposed to like shift, I think, from like the scary like slasher thriller like torture porn like first half, and to the middle half it's supposed to be like black comedy. Like it's supposed to be funny. We're supposed to be laughing at
but the girls aren't funny.
Showing up and the cops showing up. Like it's like they're like, I see what they're going for, but it's just you're not quite sticking the landing. Like it was.
But here's the other thing, which is the bill of goods that we're being sold. We're being sold a satanic ritual.
Yes, the title is misleading. I feel this was grossly mistitled. Like the title is super misleading. Like it comes at night. It does not come at night. They do not summon darkness.
I get that they're riffing off the Satanic Panic of the 80s, which wasn't real.
The title was terrible. The title was fucking terrible.
But there's deeper problems. Because they tie these dudes up, and then we realize these girls aren't into Satan. They're in this cult led by Johnny Knoxville, and they want to create a satanic panic that will drive congregations and people and money to them.
To the church, yeah.
Right. And here's the thing, that's a valid premise. However, two things. One, you've got to open, like your cold open is like a murder scene, like on a Sunday as people are going to church.
Sure.
And like Johnny Knoxville's established, the girls are established, they're devout, they're faithful, but they sneak off to go to a concert. And it's like, you need to set it up properly and like establish what the rules are and what the stakes are so that when shit changes or shifts, like it's dramatic and it works. And instead it's like, okay, you cast Johnny Knoxville. Well, of course he's a fucking creep and a murderer. So when the kid gets out of the pantry and runs into him, the audience isn't surprised when he like cold-bloodedly shoots and kills him. It's like, dude, it should have been like Bob Barker, and like we should have thought he was like a good guy, and then Bob Barker like murders him, and we're like, whoa, like we didn't see that coming.
It's probably a budgetary thing where they had Johnny Knoxville for 2 days, and when he comes into this movie, he literally walks into the movie.
That's a paycheck. They had him for 2 days. I'm guessing 2 days.
Yeah, because you're waiting forever. I was like, when is Knoxville going to show up? Yeah.
I can't believe it was just him on a TV and then nothing for the whole movie. And then
I thought for sure before I realized, oh, this is it. Like we're gonna just play, I guess, the green room game. But like I swear to God, with the title and the setup, I was like, oh man, they're gonna summon the devil and it's gonna be Johnny Knoxville, and Johnny Knoxville is gonna be like, you know, Nicholson from the Witches of Eastwick or something, and he's gonna be like, kill my pretties. I don't know, but like I thought one of them was gonna like die and come back to life as like a zombie. None of that. Like
there was nothing supernatural at all.
Yeah.
No, it's Satanic Panic. You know, it reminded me of House of the Devil by Ty West. Did you guys see
which
that
I love.
Which very much. I think that one did the 80s really well. It was really going after that style. And there's bursts of graphic violence like that. This is trying to do that. And I think it succeeds in that way. In a way, I think House of the Devil is way better. But
my other issue, speaking of weapons that could possibly be used that aren't used, one of the girls seems to have a conscience, like she's holding back, and you don't really understand where she's coming from at all, which is a problem. You don't know what she's thinking. There's supposed to be some sort of twist with her, with how she turns on her friends, but you don't really get it because she's just moping around quietly. She goes out to a shed and she's out there for like 40 minutes in their time. And you're like, what is she doing out there?
And why aren't they going to look for her? And all they're down. That's when they're spraying under the door. Yeah.
She finds a file with a couple pictures of some houses and some cash. And then she suddenly realizes, oh no, the church isn't using the ill-gotten gains to make shelters for runaways. They're just enriching their own pockets. Oh my God. Well, now I need to turn against my friends, which is weird because they're already killing people. So it's like, oh,
yeah,
now that you find out that they're thieving, that's a bridge too far. But anyway, she grabs a boat motor,
an outboard trolling motor in the Midwest.
Yes.
That's what that was. I don't know what the fuck that was.
That was the biggest awkward weapon ever, right?
Yeah. They stole that from Piranha 3D, by the way.
She lugs it around the house for the rest of the movie. People are choked with it. People are cut with it. People are bonked over the head with it.
Those fucking ripcords are notoriously hard to rip and start.
Yeah, not a good killing machine.
If anything, that's like your final coup de grace weapon. It's not your workaday horror weapon that you use throughout the movie.
That's what you use when you're stuck in a pantry. You know?
Exactly. You MacGyver it. Horror MacGyver. The fact that they use that trolling motor over and over and over again shows that they just, the creativity is not there. You have a full house full of potential weapons. What are you doing? Like, why are we here?
Yeah, that middle to late half, they feel like they're improvising the scenes. Like, okay, we'll go over here and we'll do this, and you'll attack me, and And then the boys will get out for a second and he stabs her in the back. And like, there's all these like awkwardness.
It's like the movies we used to make when we'd have a sleepover. It's like, well, what do we have? We have a suburban house.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah.
How do we get people bloody? How do we bonk people over the head with stuff? But even in our homemade movies, we'd use more creative weapons than what they did in this.
They're falling back on like, hey, we don't have cell phones. You know, they're saying, oh, the audience will just go with all this shit. But
yeah.
It's like when you want to ramp it up and play some metal music, they turn on a cover version of Belinda Carlisle's "Heaven Is a Place on Earth."
It's always a cover,
performed by Cover Sauce. I saw in the credits.
Cover Sauce. Damn.
Which would have been a great end credit. Yeah,
it was tens of $1,000s less.
Yeah,
but they paid for the real version of "Heart and Soul" by T'Pau for the end credits.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, again, this movie, you know, who are you courting here? You're courting heavy metal fans. You're courting satanic horror movie fans.
Teenage girls, teenage boys.
You give them neither, and then you end with Heart and Soul. You should end with a blistering heavy metal track to at least sort of bring it back to your thesis statement.
Yeah,
for sure.
But no, it's just like, get a little heart and soul. You know, like it doesn't match up with what you're doing.
There was some low budget foibles in this too, man. There's a scene where it's like a bloody scene where they're kind of just all hacking on each other, and you see flies like flying everywhere. And that's, you know, they love that corn syrup number 9 or whatever. And I was like, the actors were like having trouble. They were like, all right. And that's when you know you're like, damn, these guys, they were on the set for like 2 days, and there's flies all over their faces, man.
All right. Well,
oh my God.
Does anybody have any other plot points to discuss?
Knoxville gets killed pretty quickly.
He gets bonked over the head with the motor.
Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't get killed. I forgot. He doesn't get killed.
He shoots one of the guys.
Not that I care, but
he has some presence, though. I like Johnny Knoxville.
Oh yeah.
No, I would have liked a lot more of him. Like,
I would have liked a movie that he was in.
Yeah.
As Lucifer, as the devil that sells them the tickets to the show that turns them crazy.
Yeah, why not?
And when he said I mentioned there is no cell phone, but he says, I have a cellular phone. Like, he spelled it out like the 80s.
I loved that line reading.
Yeah,
I clocked it.
I wrote it in my notes. He says, I have a cellular phone in my car.
Cellular phone.
Like, that line reading is better than pretty much anything else in the movie. So.
And I remember I had Judd Nelson love. One of the girls says, like, you know who my ideal is? Judd Nelson.
And then one of the other girls says, who is Judd Nelson? Again, you can't escape Judd Nelson in 1988.
Yeah.
All right, let's summon them bones of darkness. I feel like we're all going to kind of be on the same page here, but I don't know. Brother Nathan, you're the guest in this house.
Set
what do you
the table
got?
for us.
Yeah, like I feel like this is a total VOD entry in this world. You know, like it's like House of the Devil is what I kept going back. They're trying to, maybe they were put in a box. The filmmakers are like, this is what we're trying to do, but it didn't have enough sex, didn't have enough Satan, which is why we all got there. I think there's no Satan. There's no Satan. I mean, the metal stuff, when immediately, that's what discouraged me too, when they started talking in that world, Metallica, and they were talking about what, like it was all jokes. It wasn't like, you know, well observed or anything. So I think the setup, on paper is really good. That first hour where you don't know where the girls are, you know, heads are at. They're the fawns in this, and I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be, you know, but it wasn't handled well. It didn't, you know, it was tipped off for me even, and I was like, I mean, I kind of knew, you know, like the way I did it, I kind of knew they were going to be bad, but it really had nothing for me. Other than a couple of interesting, sensitive moments with the actors. They're all like, this is something that maybe the next guy or the next film they do, they'll start to get better. But for me, it didn't have anything even in the genre. So I'm like 1.5 bones on this one.
1.5.
1.5.
And is that with any sort of quarantine bump, or is that just straight 1.5?
It didn't do anything for me in the quarantine. And I did the VOD poster, and it didn't do anything for me. But
that's true. We have to say that Nathan is inextricably connected to this film.
They bought a lot of art for this. You know, like Saban's kind of good with that. So I think there was a lot of art for this campaign that was that retro 80s stuff, and that might really sell it, you know, to the right audience. Some people are going to click on that, VOD it.
If you rent this on VOD, take a moment before you click to just drink in the beautiful artwork that Brother Nathan
We got a nice upside down cross.
Outstanding.
I think Johnny looks nice and badass. So.
Oh yeah,
It looks like a different movie though, and it sadly looks like the movie that I wanted to see or expected to see.
Yeah, Nathan, you sold us a fucking movie that we didn't get.
To be fair, Nathan did not see this before.
I didn't even see a frame of it till we watched it. So
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
which is status quo for poster artists.
Yeah.
Brother Lucas, you look like you're ready to say something. What's going on here? What are your bones?
I definitely am gonna piggyback off Brother Nathan here because I was so confused for the first 30 minutes. And I was like, wow, if this wasn't like a Lodgecast hot take, I don't think I'd survive. I wouldn't make it in this. I'd probably turn it off.
You'd walk out of your own apartment?
Because I was waiting for it to like kick in the plot, and when it did, and I was like, okay, so this is what it is, and like, okay, I don't really buy their motivation, but let's just suspend our disbelief and accept it. It still didn't work as like, a thriller or a dark comedy. I wish it was like a Heather sequel as it is. Or if you're calling it We Summon the Darkness, like you should summon the devil. It should be Johnny Knoxville in like a tuxedo, like Beetlejuice. He like makes them, drink the crazy drug that makes them go crazy and do like a Charles Manson family type murder house like mystery.
Is this a live rewrite?
Yeah, it's a live rewrite.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
The irony is like the death metal kids that like thought they were into like heavy hardcore shit are the ones that have to like save the girls and like, make them not go crazy. I don't know. I just felt like it reminded me of like It Comes at Night, where I'm like, this is bullshit. Like this, you cannot call this movie this and just have it be something else. So I would give it one bone, but because of Johnny Knoxville, I was like, yeah, it is good to see him. And like, I don't ever see him act in like non-Jackass related movies. And he is charismatic and he is kind of funny. And it's like, I just wish he was given, a better role and better material and like was more integral to the plot as opposed to just like a celebrity cameo essentially.
Yeah, Lucas, you bring up a good point. Like, what if he was like even a preacher exercising these girls? Going after killing. Like, it'd be more interesting. He'd have more to do.
Absolutely. Like
he'd be like a religious zealot more. It'd be more interesting.
Like he's the guy that like deprograms them after they get brainwashed. Like he's been tracking them across multi-states, like multiple high schools, and everyone thinks he's a pervert, but really he's like the good guy.
Pretty much any spin on this would have been more interesting than what it was, unfortunately.
They just didn't have him they had it for 2 days, man.
They had it for 2 days. So what how many bones?
1.5. I give it 1.5.
1.5.
For sure.
All right. Brother Bishke, Heart and Soul, Love and Light.
Alexandra Love.
This is VOD through and through. I think we have to vet these VOD movies. Maybe have one person watch it and let the rest.
That's painful for that one person.
If we're not watching them together, let's just vet these movies. Have one person fall on the grenade and not have to. So because I want to recommend movies we're seeing. This one I would have shut off, but I love the 80s. I don't particularly like the retro 80s. I avoid Stranger Things. I hate Finn Wolfhard.
I'm allergic to all that stuff.
There was no salad dragons to be summoned. I would give this the Finn Wolfhard, but it gets a quarantine bump because there's a great poster for this movie. And I'm going to bump it up to the Roger Ebert Memorial Half Bone for the quarantine bump. Because this one was I'm sorry, Daddario, you did not impress me. And
You're fired.
You're fired. And the girl who played Val, who was peeing all the time, I was not impressed by her.
Oh yeah, she says like I haven't showered in 3 days. Like, that's how she starts her character.
Yeah. This was rough. Let's vet these VODs. Give our listeners something to.
I think Saban Films is going to show up again, though. I just say that.
Saban Films has been pretty much every movie we've done since the quarantine.
Yeah,
there's plenty. They got plenty. They bought it all, and they're releasing it now.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Bloodshot.
Yes.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So you gotta really reassess what you're doing as a filmmaker. If Brother Bishke's giving you the lowest rating,
below the Father Amorth line
in the virtual edge, that's rough.
That's rough, Fish. I thought you were giving Alexandra bone or something.
Nah, she's no good.
I do feel offended because, again, I don't like to be very clearly advertise something that is in no way, shape, or form delivered. That's a sin. I can't really accept that. I really feel like there was a can't miss premise here, and you could do it on a low budget. You could pull it off, but the sensibilities weren't right, and the love for the ostensible subject matter wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So
For sure.
what are we supposed to do with that? I'm at a loss. So I'm at a half a bone too, but because we're in the quarantine and it's entertainment, and because that poster is just so beautiful to look at.
I think Johnny Knoxville is like, man, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And for that Johnny Knoxville line read, I have a cellular phone in my car.
Dude, you know, like, he only was doing one takes. It was like one and done. He was just like,
but he nailed it.
Yeah.
There's a shot of him eating crackers in a kitchen.
Yes.
With no lights on.
You're going to get a half bone just for that too. So I'm up to a rickety Frankenstein together one bone for We Summon the Darkness. But I do wish the filmmakers well, and just nail it on the next one, guys.
Growing pains, possibly.
Yeah.
Let's dig deeper in the VOD universe and find something worth watching, folks.
I love it.
No, appreciate
Let's
the
do
digging
it.
here. Yeah. I brought this to the thing, but whatever.
No, this has inspired me to dig deeper in the iTunes store and find something.
Yeah, let's find something that's good. And if it doesn't make us feel good and life affirmed, at least let's get some calcium in these bones.
Yeah.
Boys, I love seeing you. I love that we're keeping this up, even considering these extenuating circumstances. Good luck in the heat wave. Let's turn all our fucking AC.
Let's get that AC back on.
I'm jumping right into a cold shower. A post hot take cold shower.
Love and cool light, guys.
Loving the coolest light, y'all.
Hot take cold shower. Love and light.
Love and light, y'all.